Why Buddhism says your mind is your worst enemy. Your mind knows exactly how to trap you, and it's been doing it for years. It replays regrets from the past, stirs up worries about the future, and makes you doubt yourself in moments when you need clarity the most. It's like living with a voice that never stops talking. Yet somehow, we mistake that voice for who we are. But what if that voice isn't you? What if the mind, the thing you trust and follow every day, is actually your greatest enemy? That's why understanding your mind isn't just helpful, it's essential. Because until you see how it traps you, you'll keep fighting battles that were never really there. Chapter 1: The Mind, a Prison We Don't See. The mind is an extraordinary thing. Yet for most people, it behaves less like a trusted guide and more like a restless prisoner. It jumps from thought to thought, stirring memories, doubts, and endless chatter. We assume we're in control. Yet beneath the surface, countless thoughts shape our emotions, decisions, and actions without us realizing it. The Buddha once described the mind as a fish thrown from water onto dry land, thrashing, trembling, and gasping for stability. One moment it clings to regrets, the next it spins stories about the future. Even in quiet moments, it rarely rests. The mind is never still for long, always moving, always restless, as if it's running from something it can't escape. Imagine waking up in the morning. Before you've even opened your eyes, your mind is already racing. It drags you back to something foolish you said yesterday, a brief comment that no one else probably remembers. Yet your mind plays it on repeat, as if replaying it enough times will somehow fix it. Then your mind switches gears. Suddenly you're worrying about the day ahead. Will you meet that deadline? What if you say something embarrassing again? Before your feet have touched the floor, your mind has pulled you through a storm of anxieties, regrets, and imaginary scenarios. This noise doesn't just steal your peace, it warps your reality. Two people can experience the same situation, yet feel entirely different about it. Not because of what happened, but because of what their minds told them about it. The mind doesn't merely reflect reality, it shapes and distorts it. What's most surprising is how much of this happens without us noticing. Research shows that most of our thoughts arise automatically. Patterns we formed years ago, shaped by fear, insecurity, or past experiences, still color the way we think today. We might believe we're thinking clearly, but much of what we see is filtered through layers of mental habits we've never questioned. Once, the Buddha asked his disciple Ananda, "Where is your mind?" Ananda paused, unsure. First, he pointed to his head, then to his chest. The Buddha smiled and said, "The mind is not here, nor there. It flickers like a flame." He wasn't speaking in riddles. He was pointing out that the mind is never still. It moves, shifts, and changes, always just out of reach. And yet, most of us live as though we can catch it, as though we can think our way out of suffering. That's why awareness is so powerful. The moment you begin to watch your mind, without trying to change or control it, something shifts. You start to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. It's like watching clouds drift across the sky. Some are dark and heavy, others are light and fleeting. But none of them stay for long. Thoughts are the same. They come and go, but they are not you. The problem is, we often forget this. Instead of letting thoughts pass, we grab hold of them. We cling to old memories. We replay painful conversations. We build entire stories in our heads. And without meaning to, we trap ourselves inside those stories. Imagine a bird trapped inside a cage woven from its own feathers. The bird struggles to break free, not realizing that the bars are part of itself, layers of thought, fear, and mental habits it built over time. That's the mind, tangled in its own patterns, unable to see the freedom that's been there all along. But the moment you begin to notice those patterns, something remarkable happens. The cage starts to loosen. The mind's grip weakens. And in that quiet space behind all the noise, you begin to glimpse something far greater. A calm presence that was never disturbed, no matter how restless your mind became. This is the heart of the Buddha's teaching. Not to silence the mind, but to understand it. Because once you understand how the mind works, it loses its power to control you. And in that understanding, true freedom begins. Chapter 2: Why the Mind Works Against You. The mind is always working, always analyzing, planning, and remembering. It tries to keep us safe by predicting what might go wrong. But sometimes, this instinct backfires, creating fear even when there's no real threat. The Buddha once said, "All suffering comes from craving." The mind constantly chases comfort and avoids discomfort, even when there's nothing to fear. Imagine sitting quietly at home. There's no problem. Yet your mind starts digging up regrets from years ago, or spinning anxious stories about tomorrow. Your chest tightens, your heart races, and suddenly, peace feels impossible. Nothing outside you has changed, yet your mind has created a storm. This instinct, while it once helped our ancestors survive, and now cause unnecessary suffering. Long ago, those who worried about every shadow were more likely to survive. But now, the same instinct can make the mind react as if every small concern is life-threatening. As if missing an email or saying the wrong thing is as dangerous as facing a wild animal. Even in harmless moments, the mind invents problems. Suppose you wave at a friend, but they don't respond. Instantly, your mind leaps to conclusions. Did I upset them? Are they angry with me? What did I do wrong? Before long, your mind is spinning a painful story. Yet the truth may be as simple as your friend being distracted. This is why fear feels so powerful. The mind isn't trying to harm you. It's desperately trying to protect you. It floods you with warnings, not because danger is certain, but because your mind would rather imagine the worst than risk being unprepared. The Buddha taught that peace comes from seeing these mental patterns clearly. He often warned his disciples, "Your worst enemy isn't outside you. It's within your own mind." Once, a monk came to the Buddha in distress. He felt trapped by his anxious thoughts and asked how to stop them. The Buddha didn't tell him to fight or suppress those thoughts. Instead, he said, "See them for what they are." It's like mistaking a rope for a snake. In the dark, you panic. Your mind races. Your body freezes. But when someone brings a lamp, the fear vanishes. The rope didn't change. You just saw it clearly. The mind works the same way. When you pause and ask yourself, "Is this thought true?" Do I really know this will happen? The fear often fades. Fighting anxious thoughts only makes them stronger. It's like stirring a muddy pond. The more you agitate the water, the cloudier it gets. But if you stop stirring and let it be, the mud slowly settles, and the water clears on its own. The mind works in much the same way. When you stop battling your thoughts, when you simply notice them and let them pass, their power fades. In that quiet space, you'll find something surprising. A calm that was always there, hidden beneath the noise. It's not something you create. It's something you uncover. And once you glimpse it, you'll see that peace doesn't come from controlling your mind. It comes from no longer being controlled by it. Chapter 3: Taming the Mind, the Buddhist Path. We've all experienced moments of sudden stillness, perhaps during a quiet walk or simply watching the rain. The usual mental noise pauses, leaving a feeling of clarity and peace. This isn't an escape from thought, but a glimpse of what's always there beneath the turbulence. The Buddha compared the mind to a restless ocean. Winds of worry, regret, and endless thinking churn the surface, creating chaos. But when those winds subside, stillness emerges, revealing the depths below. Mindfulness shows us this difference, being lost in thought versus witnessing thought with detachment. When you're lost, you're pulled in every direction. But when you cultivate the ability to witness your thoughts, like watching a movie instead of being the main character, something shifts. You see them as fleeting clouds, not solid realities. As the Buddha taught, thoughts are just thoughts. They are not you. This shift, from immersion to observation, creates space and freedom. It's like having an internal compass, guiding you through the mind's storms without losing your way. The Buddha emphasized the importance of right mindfulness, samasati, as a key element of the Eightfold Path to liberation. Yet the mind constantly pulls us from awareness. It doesn't just report what's happening, it weaves stories about what's happening. Drop a glass, and the mind doesn't stop at the glass broke. It adds blame, frustration. Why was I so careless? What will people think? The glass is just glass. The mind makes it personal, heavy, trapping you in a self-made story. Suffering often comes not from the experience itself, but from the web of thoughts we spin. Imagine receiving criticism. The words might sting, but it's our internal reaction, self-blame, doubt, anger, that amplifies the pain. The initial discomfort is often unavoidable. Life brings challenges. But the storm of thoughts and judgments, that's optional. The Buddha taught that by understanding the nature of our minds, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. It's not about ignoring pain, but noticing how the mind magnifies it and learning to step back. Imagine standing by a busy road. Cars rush past, loud, fast. That's the mind with racing thoughts. But what if you didn't have to run into the road? What if you could stand quietly, watching the traffic flow? This is the heart of mindfulness. Learning to observe your thoughts without being pulled away by them. As the Buddha said, just as a rock remains unmoved by the wind, so too does the wise remain unmoved by praise or blame. In that space, you find a quiet presence, untouched by the chaos. Thoughts still come and go, but they lose their grip. The mind's stories no longer feel so urgent. And as the noise fades, you notice something always present: a steady awareness, a sense of being that remains no matter what. That awareness isn't distant. It's as close as your breath. And the more you recognize it, the more you align with the Buddha's teaching. That true peace comes not from controlling thoughts, but from no longer being controlled by them. Chapter 4: Mastering the Mind, Finding Freedom. There's a quiet strength in releasing attachments, a kind of courage that often goes unnoticed. We tend to think of strength as holding on to opinions, to pride, to the need to be right. But the Buddha taught that true strength lies in relinquishing what no longer serves us. One day, a man came to the Buddha full of anger. He insulted the Buddha, trying to provoke him. But the Buddha remained calm. When the man demanded an explanation, the Buddha asked, "If someone offers you a gift, but you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man answered, "To the one who offered it." The Buddha smiled and said, "Then I do not accept your anger, and it remains with you." This illustrates the power of non-attachment, not through force, but through understanding. Much of our suffering comes from clinging to past regrets, future worries, or the idea of who we think we are. The Buddha described this as grasping a burning coal. The tighter you hold it, the more you suffer. But even when we know this, releasing our grip isn't always easy. The mind clings because it believes holding on gives us control, a sense of certainty in an uncertain world. But the Buddha warned that this is an illusion. He once said, "Just as a clenched fist cannot receive water, a mind that clings cannot know peace." Consider how we struggle with thoughts of the past. Perhaps you've replayed a mistake over and over, the mind believing that endless analysis can somehow undo what's already happened. Or maybe you've held tightly to an idea of what your future must look like, only to feel anxious when things don't unfold as planned. The mind seeks a fixed point, a solid ground, but life is constant change. Finding freedom from clinging doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring what's important. It means loosening the grip, allowing things to come and go without the mind being controlled by them. Instead of trying to hold on to a particular thought or feeling, imagine your mind as a vast, open space. Thoughts and emotions are like visitors. They arrive, stay for a while, and then depart. If you don't offer them a seat, if you don't engage with them, they eventually move on. The problem arises when the mind becomes a crowded room, filled with uninvited guests that we keep feeding and entertaining. So, how can we learn to release these burdens? The Buddha taught that it begins with seeing things clearly. He called this yathabhutanyana dasana, a Pali term that means seeing reality as it truly is, without the distortions of our desires, fears, and preconceived notions. This means seeing the mind's activity for what it is, a constant flow of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It's not about stopping the flow, but about changing our relationship to it. This simple practice, observing the mind's activity without judgment, can be incorporated into daily life through short periods of meditation, mindful breathing, or simply pausing to notice your thoughts throughout the day. This isn't detachment in the sense of cold indifference. It's a quiet acceptance of what is, including the mind's tendencies. As the Buddha said, to let go is to be free. Relinquishing control isn't a one-time act. It's a practice, one that requires patience and kindness toward yourself. But each time you release what no longer serves you, you create space. Space for calm, for clarity, and for a peace that's no longer tied to things beyond your control. The Buddha taught in the Dhammapada, let go of the past, let go of the future, let go of the present. Crossing over to the farther shore of existence, with mind released everywhere, do not again undergo birth and death. But in opening the hand of the mind, you may find something greater. A mind that no longer wrestles with every thought, and a heart that knows the quiet strength of non-attachment.